Desert Storm combat veteran, United States Marine Corps, Larry Bynum. Mr. Bynum, are you ready?
Hoorah.
Man, y'all be killing me with that. All right, all right. All right, we gonna get into it then. All right.
Urban Christian Veterans provides a safe place for Christian veterans of color to discuss the challenges you face in your daily lives. Being a person of color has its challenges. Being a Christian has its challenges. Being a veteran has its challenges. All of those factors being combined makes for a unique and sometimes difficult life experience that is seldom talked about in public forums. Thank you for tuning in to the Urban Christian Veterans Podcast. Here's your host, D. Allen Rose.
Thank you, Aaron, for that wonderful introduction. This is D. Allen Rose, and you are listening to the Urban Christian Veterans Podcast. So, how are you today? How you feeling?
A little agitated today, but I'm doing okay.
Yeah, agitated. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Well, hopefully we can, make you feel a little better as
Oh, yeah.
as we go on. So, before we get too far into it, do you mind telling the audience a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm 52, grandfather of 5, a father of 3. Been with my wife 18 years. I feel that I'm a good man, just going through some things right now with my head. I'm working on that. It's a little tough for me right now. A little tough for my family. I'm hoping they can be patient with me, but hopefully the doctors can help me out. My brothers that I have group with, they helping me out a lot. But I'm hanging in there, taking it day by day, and just put my trust in God. I mean, that's all I can do. So I know He's gonna look out for me.
Okay, right on, brother. And as always, we pray that things get better for you, and we put it out there so we know it's gonna happen. So we just gonna claim that and say that that's what's gonna happen.
Oh yeah.
So if you could go back to the day you got out of the service and run into your younger self, what advice would you give your younger self on the day that you got out of the service?
Don't wait. Don't wait. Go ahead and do what you got to do. When I first got out, it was like my last day in the Marine Corps. They tried to demote me. Now, mind you, I was the youngest sergeant in the 2nd Marine Division over in Desert Storm. I got meritoriously promoted to Lance Corporal, meritoriously promoted to Corporal. I won a PFT, a battalion-sized PFT, 3 years in a row. That means there's 1,000 Marines. We all doing a physical fitness test. I came in first 3 years in a row. I was an outstanding Marine. And I get back, and I go to my, I left Alabama and went back to Maryland. And the CO up there, who graduated from Stanford, who was on the track team, and who lost to me in the PFT, now was the CO, and he was still upset with me. So my last day, they tried to demote me. I requested mass, and my lieutenant colonel, who was in California, he kind of went off on them, for trying to demote me because I didn't do nothing wrong. They was trying to make up stuff on me, which they had no proof, no evidence, but they wanted to demote me. So it didn't happen. When on my last day, it didn't happen. So when I got out, I was a little salty, with the Marine Corps, but I love my Marine Corps brothers. I mean, it's just wherever you go, there's going to be buttholes everywhere. In the military, out of the military. So when I got out, I didn't like go straight into work or anything like that. I partied for like 2 years. I didn't do nothing. I mean, I worked a little security job or whatever, but I didn't get serious until about 2 years later. I got with the federal government working for Department of Transportation under the first black transportation secretary, Secretary Slater. And my mom got me the job because she's works with the FCC, and she had some hookups and stuff. But I kind of wish I would have started as soon as I got out. So I would tell myself to not wait, just go ahead and start life instead of holding a grudge against a guy that isn't worth 5 seconds of my time. I held that grudge for a couple years, until I woke up. And I got with the federal government. I was doing good. My supervisor, she was a GS9. I got in there as a GS5. And I got promoted to GS7. She left. So I was supposed to get promoted to GS9 to do her job. Well, a year goes by. Nothing happened. I didn't say nothing. I kept doing my job. I was the best at it. And then about another half year goes by. I didn't hear nothing. But one day, I know this ain't no relation to your question, but one day, my I was working for who's I with? I was on the top floor. I mean, the ninth floor. It's 10 floors at the old DOT building. There's 10 floors. I was on the ninth floor with public affairs. That's what I was working for. And the guy who's in charge of public affairs, his underling was my boss, and both of their names were Bill. So the underling, I guess he was upset for not being the big man or whatever. But anyways, one day he goes off on one of the secretaries, an old black lady about 65. She was going to retire the next year. Now this guy made her cry. I'm sorry. I'm not going to stand for seeing any woman, black, white, whatever, cry. So I went in there. I mean, I asked her what was going on, and she was just so upset. Then the other secretaries started crying and stuff. So I went back to my office and I had to think about it. Like why are they crying? And I just couldn't take it no more. I didn't knock on his door. I just went right into his door. I said, "We gotta talk." And I said, "Look, man, if I ever see another woman come out of your office crying, it's gonna be a bad day for you. It's gonna be a real bad day for you. And it's not a threat. It's a promise. So you do what you gotta do. I'm gonna definitely do what I gotta do." So I figured they're gonna fire me. So I started getting my things ready. Oh, and he was scared. He was real scared. And I started getting my things ready, started packing my stuff. I just knew I was getting fired. I get a call not even 15 minutes later from the head boss, the big Bill. And he wanted me to come to his office. I'm like, man, why should I go to his office? I'm fired. I mean, he could come down here and tell me. But I went up there and I just walked in. I said, look, I know I'm fired, but I'm sorry, I can't, accept that. I don't care who it is coming out of anybody's office crying. That's going to upset me. And he said, no, 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 Larry, that's not it. He said, I just want you to know that you're doing an outstanding job. And yeah, it's messed up what happened. And I'm going to handle that. Believe that. But I just want you to know, you got your promotion.
Right on.
I should have took the promotion. I didn't.
Oh man.
And that's one of my regrets, because I would have been a GS9, and that was 90. I want to say 96 or 97, something like that. I think it might have been 96.
Wow.
But anyways, right now I'll be retired, GS15 or something. But me with the headstrong dummy, I didn't do what I was, supposed to be doing. So that was a mess up right there. But it also led me to my favorite job, which was working with the elderly, helping them low income senior citizens get jobs.
Okay.
It's called the CSEP program,
Okay.
the SCSEP, and the Senior Community Service Employment Program. And I love that job. It's the best job I ever had, helping people, help many people. And it just made me feel good. So even though I left the government feeling like, wow, I shouldn't have quit, but it led me to something else. Like they say, one door closes, another one opens. But like I said, I would tell myself not to wait because I wish I would have did it right after I got out, the Marine Corps.
Mm-hmm.
I waited 2 years. It's like I wasted 2 years of my life. I wish I could have those 2 years back. But that's because I didn't know at that time I had PTSD.
Mm.
A person in their right mind wouldn't have quit their job about to get promoted to GS9 after they
Mm.
cursed out their boss. you
Wow.
know,
Right.
and the other boss is like, "Yo, we're gonna promote you." So I didn't know back then. A lot of things that I look back on, I didn't know I had PTSD,
Mm.
and I reflect on a lot of things, and I thought it was just life. I thought it. I mean, before the military and after the military, I wouldn't have did that.
Mm.
I wouldn't have did that, but it was like something in my head, just not clicking right. And I just wish I would have got help sooner.
Mm.
Maybe those 2 years, if I would have got evaluated or something and got the help I needed then, instead of waiting 20 years later.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad I'm getting help now, but I wish I would have got it back then. But I didn't know.
Right.
I couldn't even spell PTSD.
Right. Right. Right.
But I didn't mean to talk you to death.
No,
My bad.
no, no. Listen, man. Listen. When you said that just then, that sparked something in me because you said something that I think is key to this whole podcast that we're doing, and that is being an urban Christian veteran, being of color, being a believer, and being a veteran. All have its challenges. And as you were talking through that scenario, I could see where that scenario touches a little bit of everything that we have to deal with, right? I don't know the racial makeup of the bills that you mentioned, the bill and the bill, the big bill, the little bill.
Right, right. Both of them white.
See, I wasn't gonna go there, but but the point is how we navigate the world and things happen in our current situations or what have you. We have to act accordingly, and because of our background and our experiences and whatnot, you made an assumption. I know I'm fired just because of how we came up, the history of how we're treated in certain situations. So that is so key. The other thing you said was, I wish I would have got help sooner. And again, that touches two aspects, right? The first aspect is, we don't like to go to the doctor, right? We don't,
Right.
we typically in our community, especially men, we don't fool with the doctor too tough. But on top of that, military personnel are taught, suck it up and drive on. Whatever's going on with you,
Yep.
suck it up. And so you said that, and I just wanted to bring attention to that. I think that was so important, and I think so many people out there, including me, will hear what you just said and say, "Man, I can relate to that." Because that in a future life, when I'm doing another episode and I may share my story, the same thing. I didn't work where you worked, but the same thing happened to me where, some stuff happened in my career that I didn't know I was dealing with what I'm dealing with. I didn't know I had PTSD, and it has a tendency to make you make some wild decisions. And I made some decisions,
Oh yes.
right? So it
Yes.
skews your judgment, and I made some decisions I shouldn't have made, and it cost me as well. So I'm feel you, brother. I'm right there with you with that. So along those lines, let me ask you this question: what is the one thing most people get wrong or misunderstand about you?
I I I think they take my kindness for a weakness. I'll help anybody. I mean, my wife gets mad at me sometimes because, not like since we've been in Georgia, we probably had about 6 people move in with us. 3 of them were homeless. One had a family. She had 3 kids. One was in high school, and the other 2 were in middle school, something like that. You know, they were living in her car. And my wife was going to Cordon Bleu at the time. This is a few years ago, back in like 2012, something like that. And she met her. They were walking to after class, just going to their cars, and she saw the kids in the car. And she went over there to meet my wife. Went over there to meet her kids, and she sees all the clothes and all kinds of stuff. And she said, "Yeah, we're having a tough time now, whatever, and we sometimes have to stay in the car. Usually we have a hotel room, but they were hurting that week. She couldn't afford it. So my wife called me, and I told them they could come to our house at that time. We had another guy who lived in Union City, but he was living with his sister who just kicked him out. And my wife knew him, and I knew him a little, but I didn't know him like that. I knew he needed some help. He helped him. One time I was at Kroger's. I was walking to my car. I see a guy next to me in his car, clothes everywhere, and he's crying. So I started talking to him, and oh man, his 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 fiance was pregnant,
Mm.
and they had another little girl, and they were at her sister's house. And the sister only got two bedrooms. There's already six people there, so they couldn't go
Hmm.
there. And they had a hotel room where they got kicked out of that because he didn't pay. So of course, my dummy self, well, not dumb, but I'd say, well, why don't you come to the house? We'll speak with my wife and see what we can do. So I let him stay here for a little while. But it's I'll help. I'll try to help anybody. I don't care what color you are, what religion you are, whatever. If you need help, if I can help, I'm going to help. You know, that same guy, once he got on his feet, they try to move without, helping me out. You know what I'm saying? Because once he, started building his money up a little, I said, okay, now you can pay a little rent. Before he left, he tried to, not pay me something. So I knew where he worked at. I got my money and everything. And the other guy who lived in Union City, he did maintenance. So he would do maintenance around the house and stuff like that. But him and my wife got into it one day. So he flooded the downstairs basement,
What?
the bathroom we had downstairs, and he left.
Oh man.
We had feces
Oh
all over the
man.
downstairs carpet and all that. We had to get new carpet and everything. So he disappeared for like 2 years. He thought I was going to do something to him, but I wasn't. I was just upset that he would do that. And think about it. I really don't think he did it. I just think, it happened and he just ain't say
Hmm.
nothing. I mean, that's what I was mad about. At least he could have said, hey, there's something going on downstairs. He didn't do that. He stayed a whole day with that down there because you just don't go downstairs. If somebody's
Right.
down there. Anyways, and the girl who she went to school with, the day she left, she called my wife a, bitch. And I'm like, wow, these people I help out, then they going to disrespect,
Hmm.
and it's like I told my wife, nobody else. And then my youngest son needed help, so he's here now with his family, and they getting back on their feet. But I'll help anybody, but it's at the same token. I mean, people take my kindness for a weakness,
Hmm.
and I get upset sometimes, and I get enraged. I don't know what I'm going to do, and that's why a lot of them leave because they don't want to see my bad side. They know there's a bad side because they might have seen it somewhere else, out I don't know anywhere. So they didn't want that on them. So they knew if something happened with my wife or my family or something, they knew they didn't want to see me, you know. And but the same token, I just hate seeing people struggle. I'm not doing that good myself, but if I got it, I try to help somebody else, the next man. And like I just quit my job last year at Delta because I've been on disability for 7 years since 2015. And I figured, hey, you know what? Let somebody else have that slot, you know. But in the meantime, I done got six people hired. I tell them, hey, this is what you got to do, blah, 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 But it would have been eight people, but the guy told his roommate, the roommate got the job, and the girl told her family, her sister got the job. So I always tell them, don't tell your left hand what your right hand going to do, but, they're going
Right.
to
Right.
tell, and they ain't going to get no job. Yeah, so, I mean, I think it's people take my kindness for a weakness because I'll help anybody. I had a, I do Uber sometimes, and I used to do the one where I pick up people. I don't do that too much now. I do the foods now because you know I don't want to explode on nobody because there has been times it's about to go down. But this one time when they had the one where I forgot what it's called, but like you can order Uber Then somebody else can order an Uber and y'all ride together. Um,
Yeah, the pool.
they had a name for it, but it's a share
Pool.
ride.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah.
pool. That's it,
Mm-hmm.
the pool. So I had these two black girls in the back seat, and then I had to pick up somebody else. Boom, it's a skinhead.
Oh, wow.
How do I know it's a skinhead? He had the suspenders on, he had the boots on, skinhead, and a swastika.
Mm.
So the black girl was like, "Oh hell nah! Don't let him in the car. Don't let him in the car." He sat up front with me.
Mm-hmm.
I dropped them off first, the two girls. Me and him had a 40-minute ride. By the time he got the car, we exchanged numbers. He's not a skinhead no more.
Mm.
We talked. I mean, at first, now for the first 5 minutes, I was like, "F him." I turned the music up, my rap music up, like he just gonna ride with me. And then I had to think about it. Hold on, man. I turned my music down. I looked at him. I was like, he's about 30 something. I said, "Excuse me, sir, can I ask you a question?" And he said, "Yeah, go ahead." And I'm like, "Why do you hate me?" Now I'm thinking, I'm bigger than him. He ain't gonna answer that.
Right. Right.
Well, he looked back at me and he's like, "You really want to know?" I'm like, "Oh shoot,
Right. Right.
yeah, I
Right.
want to know." He said when he was 6 years old, his dad left him. It was just him and his
Mm-hmm.
mother. These two black guys broke in the house. This was down, I want to say, not Macon. What's that college? The black college in Georgia. Uh,
Which way?
I can't think of it right now. Going south, like near Florida.
You got uh
It's
uh near Florida. Let's see. What we talking? Albany? Albany State down that way?
no, not Albany. Not Albany. I cannot believe it. My one of my best friend's daughter went there. Just graduated a few years ago. But anyway, I'll
Okay.
think of it. It
Okay.
come to me. But where was I? Oh, so he told me, these two black guys killed his, mother in front of him. I'm like, wow, I probably hate black people
Mm.
too,
Mm-hmm.
but if they were white, would you hate white people? And that right there started our dialogue all the way, I think I took him to a little past Kennesaw. We had a good talk, I didn't judge him. I just wanted to hear what he had to say. And I gave him I know I gave him that documentary. I didn't give it to him. I told him to check out the 13th, the number one documentary of 2016. And what book did I tell him? I forgot what book. It might have been Malcolm X. I forgot what book I told him to read. But he also told me some books to read and a video to look at and everything. So I didn't hear from him for like 6 months. And then one day I was doing Uber. I had a couple in the back seat, a retired police officer and his wife. And I never answer my phone when I'm driving, but something made me, I think it was God talking to me. Something made me answer the phone. I answered it. He's like, "Hey, man, I speak to Larry." And I'm like, "Yeah, this Larry. Hey, this is Dale." Now, I don't know no Dales, I'm like, "Who the hell is
Right.
Dale?" He told me, he's like, "Dale, the skinhead."
Mm.
So the people in the back looking like, "Hold up, what what do you say?" But anyways, he basically was telling me, I mean, I asked the people in the back, if I could answer the phone at first, because I didn't want to just answer the phone. But they was like, "Yeah, go ahead, go ahead." So when they heard skinhead, they like perked up, like, "Hold on, we want to
Right.
hear this." But by the time we got off the phone, Dale had not only got out the skinheads, he brought two people with him. They were in the process of getting the tattoos removed, and I think they still in Colorado. They might be back now, but it's been like over a year. But they went to Colorado to try to get more people out of the what do you call it? I forgot what he called it. It was some name they used, but he wanted to get them out of it too, because he told me I was the first black guy to not judge him, because of who he is. I mean, I just was talking to him man to man. And plus we were so close. We had a 40-minute ride. It's nothing but to talk. So I I'll try to help anybody. I don't care. When I was in West Virginia, that's where my mother's from. And by the way, my mother's white. Last name Hercules. Her father's from Greece.
Mm.
So he was he was first generation. And my grandmother, her mother, is from Germany. She's first generation over here. So they had 10 kids. My mom was one of them. And I don't know if you ever heard of the
Mm-mm.
holler. You ever heard of the
No.
holler? That's the country part of the
Mm.
country. Like in the hood, the hoodie hood is the hood part of the hood, you know. But the country part of the country, they call it the holler. It's like you gotta go off the road to a dirt road to another dirt road to another dirt road to get to their house. You know, the ambulance ain't coming back there. In other
Mm.
words, but that's where she's from. So when she came to D.C., you know, that was like a culture shock for her.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you know, me growing up in D.C., my first racism was from black people.
Wow.
I think I might have been about I might have been about 3 or 4 years old. We were living in Northwest somewhere. I can't remember. I was 3 or 4 years old, but I just remember, you know, not all of them, but you know, black back then it's 80% black, but not all the black people. I just remember some black people calling my mom, you know, an N
Mm.
lover, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and I didn't know what that was at the time, but when I got older, I was like, wow. But you know, my mom had it a little rough, you know, because she didn't stay in the white part. She didn't stay in the black part either. She was like in the middle, you know. And I'm trying to think. I want to say it was off of Connecticut Avenue.
Mm.
I don't know exactly where it was at. She showed me, but I
Mm-hmm.
forgot. But you know, my mom had it a little rough. But you know, my mom, she didn't raise me as a mixed child. You know what I'm saying? She knew I was black. I can't walk into a redneck bar and be like, "Hey, brothers," you
Right.
know. I mean, it's not going to
Mm-hmm.
happen. But when I was about 10 years old, I'm sorry,
No,
I'm
no,
going
it's
on
cool.
another
You cool.
tangent. But okay, when I was about 10 years old in West Virginia, me and my favorite cousin, he was like a year below me. He was teaching me how to chew tobacco, and we were skipping rocks on the river and all that. And his mother was my first
Mm-hmm.
cousin. She's like the oldest of the kids, you know, coming up. And she me and Joey, you know, like I said, was chewing tobacco, which I got a little sick, and skipping rocks and just playing. And I looked up on the hill. I see these guys in white
Oh.
robes putting up a
Oh
cross.
man.
I knew what I was 10 years old, but I knew what time it was. So we ran. I told Joey, "Let's run." He didn't know what was going on. We ran back to his house and told my cousin, well, his mom, and she made one phone call, and I think about six of my uncles showed up, about probably 10 of my cousins, all of them white, all of them rednecks,
Mm.
hillbillies. I mean, you whatever you want to call them, but they was there because I was
Mm.
there. All of them had guns, and I don't think my uncle Louis was there. I think Chuck was still there. He was in Vietnam. They both were Marines in Vietnam. My Uncle Chuck and I think Uncle Gary and a couple of my cousins went up to the hill with their guns and told them they can't do that right here. They're not doing that right here. And the guys took it down. And they went somewhere else or whatever. But that right there, like I reflect on that sometimes. You know, when I hear about brothers talking about the white devil or white man ain't nothing. Nah.
Mm.
There's good and bad in every race. You know, there's good and bad in every race. I mean, I put it like this: name me one white street in America you won't walk down.
Do you
You can't name one,
a
right?
white street that I won't walk down? Let me tell you something.
Yeah, white neighborhood. Uh,
It depends on what time of day it is. There's some that I can
right. True that.
I probably can take you to, but especially here in Georgia. You know what I'm saying? I,
Right. But I'm just saying. Now, if I do that with the black street, you can come off about 30 streets right up the tip, and that's just in D.C. I mean, you got
true.
Chicago, you got all these
Right.
hoods that I'm not going down some of the streets. You know, I done had guns in my head, I done been robbed and all that stuff. White man ain't do that. You know, so I'm just saying we gotta just look at it as good and bad instead of white and black. We already know we got it bad. We 13% of the population.
I feel you.
We doing the best we can. Now, if we stuck together, if we was united, it wouldn't be all this police brutality like it is. It wouldn't be all this, people not trying to make us equal and all that like it is. If we was united, half of our problems would be gone. Probably even more than that. But we can't unite.
You know what, brother?
and that just makes me mad because,
No,
yeah,
I didn't mean to cut you off,
huh?
but you said you said a mouthful,
No,
and it amazes me that
yeah,
no, no,
I did.
it's amazing to me how when you and I talk, we talk all the time, and every time we talk, I learn just how similar our lives are. You talk about being multiracial and your first racist experience being, coming from DC, from those who look like you. What's funny is, we talked, the hood I grew up in, you knew where, the neighborhood. In fact, for us to talk and find out that we grew up right around the corner from each other is amazing to me,
All right.
but guess what? My mother is Filipino. And
Oh, wow.
so, and by your reaction, obviously you couldn't tell, you probably could say, well, something going on with him, but I ain't gonna say that. That's what most people say. Yeah. So my mother's Filipino, and
Right.
guess what? Same experience, brother. The first, I guess, first time I ever became conscious of racism came from people who look like me in that hood.
Yeah.
And, I never really shared that with a whole lot of people. I'm cool with a lot of them now, thanks to Facebook and whatnot.
Right.
But
Right.
when you're a child and you experience those things, you never forget. And so when I see their faces today and we cool and we, whatever, I think back to those days where I was like, I remember when you said this, and this, and
Hmm.
kids can be cruel. You know what I mean? Kids can come out with the most nasty, vile. They don't mean the kids. They don't know no better. And so that's what I chalk it up to. But the point is, my first experience with quote unquote racism came from people being racist towards me because of what my mother looked like. So I
Yep.
feel you on that. Again, we probably have to have another conversation about that one day, much longer one, because.
Just to let you know,
Hmm?
my wife is a Blasian
Oh
too.
yeah,
Yeah, my wife is. Yeah, her mom's Japanese.
Blasian. Okay, right on. That's a new one.
Yeah.
I'll accept that one. Blasian.
Oh, you never heard that?
Nah, no,
You never heard that?
this is,
Oh man,
I
that's
ain't never
big.
heard that.
That's
Nah, it's
big.
cool. It's cool. Blasian.
Oh
Right on.
yeah,
So
yeah.
so yeah, this is eye opening for me. Oh, by the way, I don't know why this just popped in my head, but you said college, you said Macon, and Fort Valley just popped in my head. Is that what you were thinking of? Fort Valley State, Mercer, um,
Nah. I think we with the A.
and it wasn't Albany.
Uh, not Albany. It has like it look like a plantation here and there. Got the pretty trees. No, I mean it's a pretty city. I mean it's real
Okay,
little.
okay.
I can't think
I
of
don't
it.
know. I don't know why that just popped in
Yeah,
my
I
head,
cannot.
but not to get off on. It just when
Uh,
again, every time we speak, man, it's amazing how we probably just need to have a sit down, and I need to just say, all right, just lay it all out because I keep hearing stuff that you grew up right around the corner. And we just never crossed paths before, but this is just how God works. But also, man, you
right,
you
right.
you you touched on so much that I think is important in terms of the purpose and why I'm even doing this. Because as you were talking, you mentioned things that we have to operate a little differently in life just because of our history, what we look like, what we're made of, or our makeup in terms of how we were brought up. And you just added another dimension because the fact that us Blasians and mixed folk, we catch it. That's another layer of challenges that we catch from folks, whether they look like us, whether they look
Right.
similar to us, whether they don't look like us at all. We catching it from all over. Not to mention the fact that we veterans and may have a little touch of PTSD too. You know what I mean? So so
Right.
yeah, I really appreciate you sharing that because had you not said that today of all day, I would have never known that about you. So I really appreciate that. So is there anything that you wish I would have asked you? And if so, what is it that you wish I would have asked that you want to talk about, and how would you answer the question?
I mean, it might be kind of little to a lot of people. I I kind of wish you would have asked, and I think you'll understand when I get done. But you remember last year in the middle of the night, I called you.
Yeah.
I shoot. I just wish you would have asked how my wife was doing, you know, and I would have answered, she's doing okay. She's still trying to understand me, but I I don't think she can, you know. I mean, we're doing okay and everything. She's trying her best,
Mhm.
but I think it was December or something. Might have been January, but we, we got into it again,
Mm.
and I can't do this no more. She don't deserve this. I mean, she forgave me and everything, but this time I didn't black out, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and man, it was so hard. I think we talked about it in group, but it still affects me, and the guilt that I have, and she all she's trying to do is help
Mm-hmm.
me, and it's just I wish like the doctors would listen. I'm trying to like it's not I'm trying to tell them no, I'm trying to yell it to them, and it's like, okay, we're gonna give you a pill.
Mm.
It's not about pills, man. I need much more than that. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I was just thinking about going back to the hospital for a few, maybe months or whatever. And it just sucks, man. But like I said, we're doing okay. We're working on
Mm-hmm.
it, and it's just I just I, I just wish she had somebody to talk to, a psychologist, or psychiatrist, or
Mm-hmm.
somebody, a therapist, or and I don't know. I mean, I know I need help, but you know, the stuff I'm doing, it's I got a lot of work to do. A lot.
But listen, brother.
That's how I would answer it.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I do remember the discussion and the conversation at the time, and I can just say that one of the reasons for this discussion in this forum is that, first, shout out to the VA. Before I go any further, let me just say the VA catches a lot of grief, right? We we bash the
Yeah,
VA,
yeah,
but shout out to them because they're doing the best they can with the
yeah.
resources that they have and the rules that they have to
Right, right.
follow. However, the VA, not only with yourself, me, and others going through what we're going through, they have a certain way of going about things that I don't think addresses all of the things that we're talking about today, because the issue that you just discussed is multi-layered, and there's a lot of things that contribute to how we feel about stuff. And sometimes I feel like the VA and most psychologists, psychiatrists, whatever you want to call, they don't address, for whatever reason. I don't know if it's knowledge, I don't know if it's rules, they don't address those issues that we have. Meaning, everything you talked about today, everything from how you have to conduct yourself on the job with the bills, right? The bill and the bill, you know,
Right.
and how we just have to. We were taught in the military, suck it up, drive on. If you say anything, you're looked at as weak. How when you try to help someone and they take advantage of you and mistake your kindness for weakness, the way you came up and the way, where we grew up, shout out to PG County, right? I mean, so, so there's a certain way we handle things. And then you add to that what the military taught you about how you handle things. Then you come into the civilian world and none of these folks is playing by those rules. So you got to walk on
Right.
eggshells. And so we're left with not being able to express ourselves and let these things out. And then when we get in a situation, trying to sit in front of someone and explain all these things, they don't know where you're coming from.
Right.
So I'm hoping that, again, I don't have the answers, but at
Right. Right.
the very least, we have a safe place where you can at least put it out there and explain to people that this is at least what's going on in my head. And we trying to work this thing out. We trying to get better, but we don't have a lot of resources that are addressing these specific issues. And that pill ain't going to get it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So thank you, brother. I really appreciate you sharing that. And feel free to call me any night. Again, it don't matter, right? My phone was, and if I got to
Definitely.
come get you, just let me know ahead of time. I'm coming to get you, but do I need to bring bail? You know what I mean? Is that the situation?
Right.
So
Right.
just let me know I'm on my way. But thank you,
Appreciate it.
brother. And by all means, we gotta continue that conversation on a later date at a different time. Um,
Okay.
Now, last thing I want to talk about, man, we're gonna shift gears a little bit. Current events. I like to
Okay.
talk about current events. Give people an opportunity to share what's on their mind about current events. And right now, the current event that's happening is these mass shootings. As we speak, and I have the news on behind us, and there are rallies taking place all over the country, protest rallies and whatnot about gun violence. And there's pressure on Washington to come up with some solutions to this gun violence. And some of the things I'm hearing are up in the legal age for assault style rifles, background checks, mandatory background checks for everybody, banning ARs. So, what are your thoughts in general about the whole mass shooting situation? What are you thinking about that?
It's so sad. I mean, a lot of this could be, I ain't gonna say prevented, but as far as the amount of people dying could probably be, prevented if we got rid of these assault rifles, because you don't need those. I mean, they're talking about, oh, well, we got to keep them in case the government. Hold up. In the history of the United States, the government has never, ever, 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 ever attacked a white, farm or, whatever. Now, as far as black people, they done got us in Tulsa. They got us in Philly. I mean, look what they did to the people that was living in Central Park. They got every place we had lived at and they succeeded. They got rid of us and put us in the hood. I mean, it's everybody has a gun now. I mean, it's I'm not going to say it's too late, but they need to go ahead and do it like they do, like in other places, like Japan. It takes almost a year to get a gun. You got to go through training with the gun, shooting ranges, classes, and every year you got to re up. Just like a car or something. That's what they need to do here. It's so simple.
Mm,
Have a background check every year. Have them go through training every year. They got to go to a rifle range every year. They got to, I mean, every year for 2 weeks or say a
mm,
week, not 8 hours a day or nothing, but say 8 hours a year. They have to go through some kind of training or recertification or a psych evaluation. I mean, just simple things like that. All the other countries are basically
mm,
doing. Look at the European countries. Look at Japan. They have mental issues, but you don't see nobody going in school shooting up little kids who did nothing to
mm,
nobody. Then they talking about the teachers. They need to have guns. Now, what would a teacher have done to this guy who was basically, you couldn't shoot him
mm,
basically with the
mm,
pistol? You need a high power rifle, which the police had, but wouldn't go in and shoot him. I mean, it's. Now, you see how hard they were on the
Right.
parents, though. They was ready to shoot the
Right.
parents, but they, because they didn't have a gun. But yet this guy has a gun there. They don't want to go in there. 19 of them
Mm.
in there. 19 police officers was in the hallway. What were they doing? Eating donuts? They supposed to go and take the fire and get shot, whatever, so the kids don't
Right.
get shot. But these kids, I mean, it's sad that a first grader knows how to what to do in case a mass shooter comes in school, but he don't even know his ABCs yet. I mean, it's come on, man. It's all of this could be. I ain't gonna say prevented, but they just gotta make it harder to get guns. I'm not saying take away nobody's gun, but these assault rifles, when they were banned back in the '90s, when Clinton banned them, it went down 300%.
Mm.
And then the Republicans made it legal again and went up 1,000%. So it's I don't know, man. NRA is powerful, man.
Mm.
They got a lot of these congressmen and senators under their belt. They paying them. They making billions of dollars off these people. So they're gonna keep doing it, man. They ain't gonna stop. They're gonna have some BS regulations. Okay, you gotta be 21. So you think this 18-year-old won't just ask somebody to get a gun for him so he can still go into school? They need to have. I ain't gonna lie. I think they need to have veterans in the school.
Mm. Okay.
I'm just putting it out there. Just have. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if I was in that school, I know okay, he can't shoot around the corners like I can. Or I know how
Right.
to
Right.
cover
Right.
and
Right.
conceal. I
Right.
guess you could say. And in the Marine Corps, they teach you one shot, one kill. Now that one police officer he shot, he couldn't kill him because he had bulletproof stuff on. You got to shoot him in the
Mm.
face. Shoot him in the face. I hit him in the face. I was an expert marksman. I mean,
Right on.
I was a good shot. So I'm taking him out. He ain't gonna get no kids. I mean, I'm taking him out. But I just feel for the police because they gonna get it either if they do good or bad. So it's just we all gotta take responsibility. And like I said, you can't take nobody's guns because that means only the police and bad people gonna have guns. So, but these assault weapons, they don't need those. They don't need those. Talking about they might have to fight the government. What you gonna do against a tank? What's an AR-15 gonna do against a tank?
Right.
I mean, come on
Right.
now. They talking that bull. My uncles in West Virginia used to shoot with a bow and arrow. That's how they hunted. Now I'm not gonna say they didn't have guns. They did have their rifles, 30-06, a 22, a 12 gauge. No machine guns, no assault weapons. They just had no weapons for hunting. But they preferred the bow and arrow. That's a
Mm-hmm.
challenge. I don't know. It's just sad, man. We're at sad times right now.
I feel you, man. That's I appreciate that answer, and I'm gonna share this with you. I'm not gonna give my opinion on the whole gun thing. I'll wait for another day on that, but I will say this, and I don't even know if I may cut this out, but we in group we always end by saying the serenity prayer, and it starts, God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. And I say it with everybody because everybody else says it, but part of me is like, I have a problem with that first line. It says, grant me the serenity to accept the
Right.
things I cannot change. Whereas, why not change the things that I cannot accept? Why can't we concentrate on changing the things we cannot accept? One of the things that
I like that. I like that.
we can't accept school shootings. We can't accept grocery store shootings. We can't accept that. And I just feel like the serenity prayer, put it like this. If you gave that serenity prayer to slaves on a plantation, there would still be slavery because they would ask for the serenity to accept the things that they can't change, and they could not change slavery. Am I going too deep? Let me stop, man. Let me just
I like
let
that.
me
I
stop.
like
I'm
that.
not trying to,
I like that.
but I just have a problem with, this notion that we have to, certain things are happening to people. And, I believe in God, and I believe in a powerful God. And I don't believe that I need to ask this powerful God to just help me to accept this wrongdoing. I just got to, and forgive me if anybody's out there listening that Serenity prayer. I know he just didn't say that. I did. Yeah, I did.
But where's the lie at? Where's the
I'm just,
lie? I totally agree with you. I totally agree.
well, those who might, some who out there may not, they may think that I'm saying something against, it's a prayer. Why, how you not going to agree with a prayer? Well, I don't agree with that person who came up with that prayer. Whatever.
Yeah, God
Right.
didn't write the prayer.
So anyway, I don't want to cause no controversy, man. We just get started. I don't want to have nobody tuning out. But listen, brother, we are at the end of this. Let me just first say, man, thank you. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me today. You could have been doing anything else, but you chose to spend this little time with me. And thank you so much, brother. I really appreciate you.
Oh man, all my pleasure, man. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
Okay.
It made me feel better.
Well, that's good. That's what it's for. And I hope you come back, man. I hope you come back and we can continue some conversations about some other things,
Let me just say, I didn't say this earlier, but I gotta
Yeah.
say this. I feel for the families, the parents, the brothers, the sisters, the grandparents of those, victims in Buffalo, in Texas, all throughout the United States for this senseless violence that could be prevented.
Right.
It's just so sad, because, it's like, this is so messed up to say, but it's just like they're not killing the right people. That's why nothing's being done.
Well, you said a mouthful just did.
And that's so messed up to say.
You said a mouthful just did.
Yeah. Anybody can say anything what I just said. I don't care. It's just that, if one of their kids got killed, they would have had a law written the same day, preventing this and preventing that and all this. But, it's just sad.
I feel you.
They're going to mess with the wrong one. They're going to mess with the wrong one. And it's going to be ugly.
I feel you. And that
right.
No, that's a good point. And I think, you need to come back, man, because we need to continue that conversation. We need to talk about that.
Did you hear what the parents of the guy in Buffalo, you hear what they said, why he did what he did?
What? I didn't hear it.
They said he did what he did because of COVID.
I didn't even hear that.
Even though he had that manifesto.
Right.
He had that big manifesto, but they talking about, he did it because of COVID. See, that right there. That's why he did it, because he had parents.
Listen, man, I didn't hear it. I didn't know about that, but I will say that as a parent myself, I'll say anything to get my kid out of trouble. So yeah, no telling, man. I don't.
Oh, okay.
So, they might have been on something else, but as I said, man, we please, if you ever have the time, I want you to come back and we have, some discussions about some stuff. Might even talk about PG County some more. We got to talk about that. But anyway, brother, again, thank you so much. And we'll go ahead and
my pleasure.
We'll wrap this up. May God keep you. May God bless you. And may God be with you. Thank you, brother.
Amen. Amen.